Does the Constitution protect your rights? Stay tuned, that's our topic for today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Fight, where we reject radical left-wing ideology while we fight for the soul of the nation. My name is Mike. Sorry for the late episode. Zach and I actually had one recorded over the weekend, and then after we were all said and done and packed up and had left, I realized there was some technical issues with it. Tried to salvage it, to the editing side of things, and it just wasn't possible. So here it is, re-recording it now. Unfortunately, Zach is a very busy guy and wasn't able to join in on the re-recording. So, but here we go. So, in typical fashion, over the last week and a half or so, we've had 2 new shootings. So now we've got to talk shootings and gun control again for the millionth time. And it's going to be the same old go-around. It already is the same old go-around. The Democrats don't actually want to solve any problems. They just want to seize more power and take more away from the general population, as is always the case. I'm sure that by now you guys have already heard this analyze the death, so I'm just going to run through it quick, just for anybody who hasn't, and just to give my take on it. First, we have the shooting in Georgia, where the guy went around to, I believe, 3 different Asian massage parlors and shot people in all 3 of them. There was a total of 8 victims, 6 Asians, 2 Caucasians, and then we had the most recent one, the shooting in Colorado at a shopping center. 10 people were killed in that one, all of them white. Now, of course, the media right away took to both of them the exact same way as they usually do. With both of them, right away, they began to claim that when the case of the Georgia shooting, it was a hate crime because of Trump calling the virus the China virus. And in the case of Colorado, it was white domestic terrorism because they thought that the guy was white. Now, in the case of the Georgia shooting, come to find out, turns out that the guy was just a religious nut. Basically, he, thought that the temptations were too great of the massage parlors, and it was Satan tempting him in the world or whatever, and they had to be removed. So, whatever kind of nut job logic is going on there. But in the case of the Colorado shooting, of course, it's a different story. Now, as I was just saying right afterwards, the media wanted to pick up with a domestic terrorist narrative, white supremacist domestic terrorist, as always. However, not long after, I think it was like the next day, it came out that the guy's name was Ahmad Aliwi Alisa, a Muslim born in Syria. And this guy was a typical radical left-winger, drank the Kool-Aid from the Democrats, believed that, white people were a bunch of domestic terrorists and Islamophobia and all that. And, they saw that in his social media posts and all kinds of stuff. So after that, then we saw suddenly that the media narrative turned to no known motive. Imagine that. First, right off the bat, they knew exactly what it was. It was domestic, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, no question about it. But then, once facts actually start to come out and they find out that, he's actually a left-winger, then no known motive. But, it's really not that hard to see what his motive most likely was. His motive was, probably to kill white domestic terrorists as he saw it, probably rooted in, some religious beliefs. And so what do you know? 2 shootings, and both of them, one of them definitely involved a religious nut, and probably both of them involved a religious nut. So here come all the typical cries for gun control and the banning of firearms, and we have to restrict this, and we have to ban this, and we have to do that. And really, though, the filibuster is going to be key when it comes to this. And I think that the filibuster's days are numbered, and I think that we're going to miss it once it's gone. I mean, for example, just think about even in the last couple of years, how many times has the House passed a bill, and we thought, well, thank goodness, because we know there's no chance of it getting through the Senate because of the filibuster. It doesn't have any chance in hell. That's not going to be the case anymore going forward. Pretty soon they will do away with the filibuster, and then it's just going to be a simple majority is all that's needed. The filibuster is designed by its very nature to keep the Senate, to keep it a place for lengthy debate and, eventual compromise. But we're seeing less and less of that as time goes on. They'll continue to chip away at this. They'll, just like they do with gun control and everything else. And eventually they will do away with it. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, on to the topic at hand. The Constitution, and does it protect your rights? I mean, the short answer here is no, obviously. I mean, a lot of people mistakenly think that it does. They rely on it, but really, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the founding documents, they're just pieces of paper. You know what I mean? So, for instance, all right, let's take the Declaration of Independence. So, when our founding fathers wrote up the Declaration of Independence, Great Britain didn't give a damn about our piece of paper saying that we were independent. And they came over here to squash that, what they considered a rebellion, and to get us back in line. And it was only by fighting that war and beating them back until they had no choice but to accept that we were independent. I mean, we gave them no choice. We beat them. Okay, so just writing down something doesn't make it so. You have to defend it. You have to protect it. You have to ensure that you indeed do have, those freedoms and independence. So, I see this a lot, especially when it comes to gun control. You see it all the time. The same old argument. It's easy. It's right there. Shall not be infringed. Well, the Democrats, the liberals, those in government, they don't give a shit about your shall not be infringed argument. I mean, it's already damn near been infringed to death. We really, we barely have a Second Amendment left at this point. I mean, and they're going to be trying real hard to get rid of what is left of it. And, if you don't believe me, they're already arguing that, the well-regulated militia only refers to the National Guard in the modern day. And thus that, that makes the Second Amendment null and void in their eyes. So we saw this in a Vermont case where they used that argument to uphold a magazine ban. And that's exactly what they argued, that the well-regulated militia refers to the National Guard, and therefore the Second Amendment is null and void in the modern day. Now, they went on in their decision to say that, yes, people still have the right to defend and protect themselves, but under strict government regulations and limitations. So you can already see all the different ways that they're, coming against the Second Amendment. Now, I will put a link to an article about this Vermont court decision and a link in the description for this video so you can read about that and see it for yourself if you don't already know about it. And this doesn't just pertain to the Second Amendment. This is about every one of your rights, whether it's freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, whatever it may be. It doesn't, you have to take an active role in defending these rights and making sure that you keep them, because government will always want to gain more power, and they will always want to grow, and they will, and the end result for that is never good for the civilian. I mean, just look at the last year alone, 2020. Look how much government has overstepped. Look how much power they have claimed. I mean, they are literally now micromanaging your day-to-day actions, tracking you, telling you how many people you can have in your own home. And so now, after more than over a year under these conditions, now you finally have states like Texas and Florida, and hopefully more follow suit. But you have states like those now finally ending the mask mandates, opening back up their states to business, and going back to normal, how life should be. And, already you have the left losing their mind over that. Just the thought of it. You already have Biden coming out begging, please, please, any states that have gotten rid of the mask mandate, please reinstate them. And all businesses, please, you have to do it. I mean, not taking this virus seriously is how it got so bad in the first place. No. These draconian lockdowns and government seizing power is how this got so bad in the first place. Look at California, look at New York, states that have done nothing but, overreact and take it too seriously and use it as an excuse to seize power. They've done nothing but take it overly seriously since day one. And they're the worst states there are when it comes to COVID numbers and all that. So you can't say that. I mean, it just makes it false. I mean, we still have schools doing distance learning. We still have the teachers union refusing to go back to work while still getting paid. So this is never going to go back unless we force the issue and force it to go back. So, long story short, no, the Constitution does not protect your rights. You protect your rights. And going forward from this point, the only rights that we are going to keep are the ones that we fight to keep, because they are coming after it all, whether you see, with big tech and the First Amendment, with freedom of speech, whether it's the Second Amendment and them trying to ban and over-regulate everything to death, or, even look at freedom of the press right now. Right now, there is a media blackout on the southern border. The media is not allowed to go there and showcase these facilities or, what's happening there. So no matter what area you look at, I mean, it is strict government ruling by an iron fist. Now, we've also got a lot of other stuff going on in the news this past week. We've got Camel Toe, who's apparently too good to salute Marines. We have Joe Biden falling up the stairs and then, saluting everybody once he finally makes it to the top, like the idiot that he is. And the situation with Biden is absolutely ridiculous and embarrassing as a country. This is a man that obviously doesn't know what's going on around him half the time. He had his first press conference. That was a disaster. And by everything I saw, I am convinced that he not only had all of the questions in advance, but also had answers made up for him in advance. So we're not going to be able to keep doing this forever. and pretending that reality isn't reality. And and after that, I mean, then we're going to be stuck with Kamala. So we've got some rough times ahead. We've also got the Chauvin trial going on, or however the hell you're supposed to say his last name. And that is just going to be a mess. I think, unfortunately, I don't know. I think everybody sees what's coming at the end. I think probably regardless of how it goes, I think there's going to be mass rioting, a lot of property damage, probably some lives lost, and that's unfortunate. However, if anybody who's been watching this show for the past couple months now will know that I am not the biggest fan of police, and that's one area where I'm a little outside the box, the camp, so to speak. But now, that being said, I have met and interacted with some absolutely, terrific police officers. Usually the better ones that, I've had interactions with, it's usually sheriffs. It's usually, your older police officers, more mature and, more life experience and stuff like that. Typically, it's your younger ones, especially your rookies. They're power hungry. They're wired up. They're out to change the world. And the problem is that when you have a bad experience with the police, it leaves a lifelong impact. It stays with you. And that is, and that's just exacerbated, especially in lower income communities and poor communities and urban communities, like the one that I myself live in. So I think that we'll leave it there for this week. Again, sorry for the video being so late and also so short, but I at least wanted to put out something this week so that you guys knew what was going on, and just to put out some content also. So again, Monday we will be back to our regularly scheduled programming, and I don't know if you guys are able to tell, but we got a new camera, so hopefully it looks a lot better. We're always, improving, growing, and trying to get better and grow. So thank you very much. Please take a second, leave a like, a comment, anything. You can follow me on Clout Hub and Parlor at mrogers87 for both of those. And we will be having a dedicated show email set up here pretty soon. So thank you guys again, and see you on Monday.